So guys, who here is a big Marvel fan? Got a couple? Yeah? This side? This side's like DC. Right.
Ain't nothing wrong with DC, bro.
DC love, right? Marvel love. Okay, I titled this message, Endgame. As Christians, each of us is called to step up in the face of adversity and push forward to help redeem the lives of the people around us. Pretty agreeable statement?
Yes.
Yeah? See, I wanted to title this message Endgame more than just the fact that I am a huge Avengers nerd, right? Because Endgame is a chess term, right? And while I'm not the best at chess, I can play it, right? The term comes from the point in the game when the least amount of pieces are on the board and the biggest decisions of the game are made. This is the decisive part of the game where you either secure a victory or a loss. I want to start with a verse in Luke. Luke 10:2. The harvest is plentiful, but the workers are few. Sometimes in ministry and life, we can begin to feel alone. Like we are the only Christians in our family, in our school, at work, in our life in general. And that the things of the enemy are constantly coming against us. See, when you're in the end game of a chess match, something important to do is to know your enemy, right? For example, if you're playing against me in chess, you'll realize very quickly that I like to use the rooks to control lanes, to try and block people in slowly, right? That's how I play chess, right? The enemy, our enemy, is a lot like Thanos, right? And I did a lot of research getting ready for this lesson because I was like, what do I want to talk about? I want to talk about Endgame because I'm a huge nerd and I want to talk about stuff. So what do I want to talk about? And I was like, dang, I want to look up every fact I can find. So I was like, chess and Greek mythology and Marvel and everything I could find. And you know where the Thanos' name comes from? Thanatos. Right? Yeah. The Greek god who drags people to Tartarus or hell, right? Seriously, that is where his name comes from. And so literally Thanos' name means death. Guess what our enemy's name is? Death, right? And not just the physical kind, right? The death of the spirit that destroys people for real. Right? That is what we're out there seeking, is to redeem lives so that they don't die in spirit and be dragged to hell. Right? I'm going to say this real quick. This is not your Disney candy-coated message. Right? This is not going to be a, oh, that's cute kind of message. Now, I got some fun stuff I want to do in this message, but there is going to be some hard stuff that has to be said.
Okay.
So, Thanos is such a dangerous opponent in his own right, but you know what makes Thanos really dangerous?
Gauntlet.
The way he manipulates.
Right. Right.
The forces around him.
Whoa!
See, Thanos uses his infinity gauntlet to overpower those that come against him. Right? So what does the infinity gauntlet do? Right? Is the gauntlet actually the power source of it?
No.
No.
Gem.
This thing makes a lot of noise, so I'm probably going to put it down in a second. Right? It's the stones.
Yeah.
Right? And what's important about each of the stones?
They all do different
They all
stuff.
control something different.
They all do different things. They all control different elements. Can I tell you something? The enemy manipulates different parts of your life to abuse you and to trap you and to make it so you can't get to the places to help redeem lives.
Dang.
See, the enemy, in the same way that these stones have different abilities, takes the same ideas and manipulates them to trap us. Okay, little pop quiz, what's the blue stone? Space. Right? We're going by the movies. Right, that's the movie one, so we're going by the movie. The enemy tries to limit our space.
Wow.
See, the enemy does this in two extremely dangerous ways. Either A, he tells you you can't have an impact where you are. Right? He says that the space you've been placed in by God is not the space that you're called to.
Wow.
Right? Yeah. That you can't save your family. You can't save your community. You can't do anything at school. You can't do anything at work. They're too far gone. The second way he does it is says, you can't go anywhere new.
Wow.
Right? You can't move forward. He manipulates and limits us and makes us feel like we can't move forward into new things. Right? We don't feel like we're the right person to take on that challenge in that new place, even when God's telling us He's called us there. See, I'm going to be honest too, right? Like I said, this message is not going to be Disneyfied, right? That needs to be in the Oxford Dictionary, right? Can I tell you where the enemy wants to limit your space greatly today? That doorway. He wants your spirits trapped in here.
Wow.
If the only place you're interacting with God is in these four walls, guess what? Your space is limited.
Wow.
Right? The enemy wants you trapped in here because if this is the only place your spirit is, you're not interacting with the people around you and your faith is dead.
Jeez.
Okay, second stone I'm going to talk about. What's the red stone?
Reality.
The reality stone. I need everyone to stand up. Right? Okay. I'm going to see if you guys have the same reality that I do. Ready for this? If you are currently a college student, you can stay standing. If you are not, sit down. Right? Yeah, not bad. Okay? Let's pick this up a little bit. If you are not a man, sit down.
Oh, gotta go.
Okay? Let's keep going. If you are not white, sit down.
Endgame.
If you did not go to a continuation high school, sit down.
It's a wrap.
Right? There ain't a lot of people standing anymore.
No.
If the only people I'm impacting are the people that have the exact same reality as me, guess what? How limited am I? Look, there's only one person with my reality.
Yeah.
And the enemy wants me trapped, thinking that the only people I can reach are people like me.
Wow.
And guess what? There's nobody like me. There's nobody like you. Right? They can be similar, but they'll never be exactly like you. And the enemy wants to take those minor differences and create great chasms in your life that you don't feel like you can cross to interact with the people that you are called to love.
That's right.
See, the enemy loves division.
Yeah.
Can I tell you something? The enemy loves the divided church.
Whoa.
Ooh, say that again.
The enemy loves the white church, the black church, the Hispanic church, as long as it's not the together church and you're kicking people out of the church if they don't look like you. Right? There is no sanctified political party, right? God calls all people.
Amen.
Right? God loves all people and God died for
Amen.
all people. See, if we keep dividing ourselves, the enemy's laughing because the world sees us being divisive and goes, I want no part of that. Right? If the church can't be unified, oh, God have mercy on the world.
Yeah.
Okay, third, what's the purple stone? Anyone know?
Power Stone.
The power stone. Right? Gotta take a breath. The enemy wants to limit our connection to the power of God. And he does this in several different ways. First, I'm going to bring up is anxiety. He wants to make you feel beaten before he's even started.
Yeah.
Right? He wants to make you destroy yourself. Right? That you can't beat him, so why even try? He wants to make you feel powerless. Or the other way he comes at it is, he wants you to be so full of pride that you go in thinking you're the champ and you put your power over God's power and you go in and you get KO'd like the Hulk did. Right?
That's right.
You go in and get whooped. Right? Because if your power is not coming from God, it's going to be limited.
Yeah.
All right? The fourth, what's the yellow stone, the big one in the middle? The mind stone. The enemy will push into your incapabilities to make you feel stupid.
Wow. Yeah.
He'll exaggerate your failure to points of exponential levels that you don't feel like you can overcome small things.
Yes. Right.
Did you know that by saying I can't, you actually lower your ability to do something? You do. Not just like, oh yeah, I can't, so you won't do it. But like when you finally come to it, you're less capable of doing it. Confidence actually increases memory.
Yes.
Right? Confidence actually improves charisma. Right? But the enemy wants you to think, yeah, I can't do that. Right? Not just so he like beats you there, but also when you finally feel encouraged to try it, you're not wholehearted.
Wow.
Right? If your mind's not there and your heart's not there, your body can be present, but you won't be. I got 3 pages. I can move this. Okay. Okay. Fifth stone. What's the green one?
Time.
Time. Some of us are busy, not effective. Who has ever here said, I'm too busy to pray? Or, I'm too busy to read my Bible? What if the issue isn't that you're busy, it's that your priorities are in the wrong place?
Yeah.
What I keep saying, this is not going to be your Disney message, right? So I'm about to get real. See, I know people that say they are busy, but their priority is money or education or beauty. And can I tell you something straight up? That won't matter in heaven.
Yeah.
If your priority is not people, if your priority is not God, everything you prioritize will fade. Everything you think that deserves your time is just draining it.
Wow.
And I don't think things are inherently bad. But if you're putting things over God and things over people, you're hurting others. You're hurting others with your lack of care.
Yeah.
You're hurting others with your lack of drive. You're hurting others with your self-centeredness.
Wow.
And the final stone, the orange one, is the soul stone. More than anything, the enemy wants to limit the power of your soul. Right? They want people to look at you and go, That's a Christian?
Oh.
Ooh. I don't want to be that. That's a Christian? They don't act any different. That's a Christian? Sheesh. They just feel like a robot. Right?
Whoa.
See, I think the enemy honestly loves two kinds of Christians because they create more atheists than Christians.
Whoa.
Right? The first is the titular Christian. They're Christian by title, but nothing else.
Yikes.
See, can I tell you the truth? This isn't uncommon. Check an Instagram bio. John 3:16. Right underneath.
Right, you get it, right?
Right underneath. Lit AF fam. Right? Or 420 Nation. Right? Hey, what kind of message are you trying to put here? Right? You know, it's like you got God first, but that's the sixth thing in your bio. Right? Or you got God in your bio, but if you scroll through your pictures,
Nope.
right? Let's be legit. Right? See, you want to have the title of Christian, but not the lifestyle. It's fake.
Right.
The second kind is the religious, over-the-top, zealous kind of Christian. The kind of Christian that comes across like, God hates you! Yeah, kind of scary, right? Right? God don't love you! Right? They scream rhetoric so loud they put the Pharisees to shame. Yeah, kind of scary, huh? People whose only emotion seems to be anger,
Yeah.
wrath,
Yeah.
right? You go to hell! And that's not false, but how are you saying it?
Right.
Are you saying it to love your neighbor or to beat them down?
Yeah.
Right? And the enemy loves those kind of Christians.
Yep.
Right? Because they create more atheists than Christians.
Yeah.
See, the enemy works hard to limit us. So that what we are doing to play our part is meaningless. But we're called to push back. We're called to not be limited by the enemy, but to be overcome. That's not called the limitation gauntlet. It's called the infinity gauntlet. Right? The issue is the enemy is not an enemy who knows infinite. He's an enemy that knows limitation. Who here has seen Avengers Infinity War? Okay. Almost everyone. I am so sorry if you haven't seen it. I'm gonna spoil. Right? I won't spoil too much, but I'll say this. The Avengers lose. Right? Sorry. Don't worry, it's a two-parter. And the second part is called Endgame. Right? The issue... Sorry, I lost my place. See, Infinity War is a great lesson on how division will cause failure.
Yeah.
Right? On how... Geez, I have way too much stuff on here. How you can have so many numbers and be meaningless.
Wow.
Right?
Yeah.
See, each of us is gifted differently. Some are speakers, or worship leaders, evangelists, and prophets. Some have great caring, others a heart for service. And God has many more giftings than that.
Yeah.
The issue is, like Infinity War, sometimes we only want to hang around people with the same gifting as us.
Mm-hmm.
See, where I think the failure that happens in Infinity War comes from is, look at the team rosters. You got Hulk and Thor together, you got your powerhouses, yet no intellect or strategy.
Yeah. Wow.
So when Thanos shows up, he karate chops Hulk in the neck, right? Because he's a better fighter, right? He's a more intelligent and strategic fighter than he is. Or you get where you have Doctor Strange and Iron Man and Spider-Man. But none of them are really strategists. And they're strong, but they're not the powerhouses, right? So when they come against Thanos, they try their best, but still they fail. All that intellect couldn't cut it. Then you got your team with the strategists. You have Captain America and Black Panther and War Machine and Black Widow. And they got some power, but not enough to stop Thanos. And they got some intellect, but he knows the stones better than they know how to fight him. And he just cuts a swath through them, right? See, the issue is, sometimes it's not about the amount of people we have around us, right? We need to be surrounding ourselves with people that edify us through their giftings instead of trying to find people just like us that we could, look, all of us. You know how scary this would be? Think about this. Imagine if the church was just made up of yous. That scares me because I'm argumentative, which means if there was 30 Ians, they'd be arguing. Right? It's the way I am, right? See, I begin to surround myself with people that's gifting complements mine, not is the same as mine. See, I think why Endgame is going to be the movie where we see the heroes come back and rise up and be the team that needs to be done is because the heroes are going back to that original Avengers team that knows how to complement each other's giftings, and more important than the numbers is the way they work together.
Yeah.
Right? See, we're not going to just beat the enemy's limitations by sending people at it. Right? Look, I'm not here to be like, everyone here is called to be an evangelist in this moment and go and reach hundreds of people when you walk outside this room. Why? Because some people aren't called to evangelism. Some people aren't used to that or ready for it yet. And I'd just be throwing them out into something they're not called to. Or go, everyone here prophesy right now, and we'll do that based on what God says when some of us don't even know what prophecy is. See, when our gifts come together, we're an unstoppable force for good.
Amen. Amen.
Where those limitations cannot come against us. Right? See, we need to understand our giftings first, though.
Yeah.
If you don't know who you are, how do you expect to face the enemy? Right? Look, if you're a Bruce Banner trying to play a Captain America, look, you're just going to get wrecked because you don't know how to use that shield. If you're a Doctor Strange trying to wield the Stormbreaker, you're not going to be able to pick it up because you're not called to that axe. Right?
Yeah.
You know, that's something that disappoints me about the church sometimes, right? Is that I will be more recognized for one speaking than 5 years of service.
Wow. Wow.
I apologize for the ways that sometimes we glorify certain giftings above others
Yeah.
and don't respect people's giftings,
Yes.
right? Look, each of you has something to say. That doesn't mean you're called to be a speaker. That means you're called to speak into lives.
Amen.
Right?
Amen.
That's the truth of the matter is.
Yeah.
You got to know your giftings. You have to know, because that's how you're going to break past these limitations. Right? You need to know what your reality is. Right? You need to know where your space is. Right? You need to know where your power comes from. Some of us have different power. Right? You got to know where your mind is and what you think about. You got to know what you're doing with your time. Most importantly, you got to know where your soul is,
Right.
right? If you're trying to run out the field and your soul is not in the right place, the enemy is going to devastate you so easily. You know what's funny though? We could perfectly know our giftings and go out with power and authority, and so many people wouldn't be reached if we did it alone. If we're not doing it as a family, as a community, even Jesus Christ,
Right.
the Lord, the Messiah, went with people.
Amen.
He had people around him. People with different giftings and different callings that went out with him. See, community does not mean carbon copy. And if you're looking for people just like you, like I said with reality, you'll be disappointed, right? I'm honored to be able to serve in the community I do, and I'll prove this to you that I believe in this idea. My core at the landing, right, is nothing like me. Well, not nothing like me. Is completely different than me, right? I'm loud and aggressive.
Wow.
I heard that. I'm loud and aggressive and fiery, right?
Right.
And I love Alberto because he's a calmer,
Yeah.
right? He's like, okay, Ian, this is not the time for that,
Yeah.
right?
So right.
He's like, hey, bro, are you feeling all right? Right? You okay? I need people like Kimmy to call me out. Because Kimmy will call me out, right? When I start getting out of hand, right? And where maybe Alberto being a calmer isn't what I need in a moment. I need kind of a, hey, like, you need to stop, right? Or Olay, right? Because I'm task oriented, right? I'm like, we gotta do this, and gotta do this, and gotta do this. She's like, yeah, but where's the heart? Where's the character in that? Right? Where's the personality? I'm blessed to have my core, right? Because they keep me in line because I'm crazy, right? Plain and simple, right? See, and they're not just yes men or yes women, right? They don't just tell me what I want to hear. They tell me the truth, right? And by living in their gifting, we're able to serve people, right? See, I want to end with this. The war we're fighting is not infinite. And if I could see into more than 14 million futures, right? Can I tell you something? There is not a single one where God loses.
Yeah.
But let me tell you this straight. There is a lot of them where the people I love aren't there to celebrate. Because I chose not to step up. Because I decided not to be a part of the solution. Because I gave up or quit or threw in the towel. See, the end game, that up there is the end game. Heaven is the end game. That is where we want to end up. That is our victory. But I don't want to get up there and be alone.
Yeah.
Right? I don't want to get up there and find out the people I love didn't make it up there too. See, I see a generation lost and broken. Used to fake churches and faker Christians being told the gifts are dead, that they have no power. Fear has won. Life is valueless. And love is abused. I see a lot of Christians walking by afraid to be the good Samaritan to people.
Wow.
Some people move on. Not me. No, not anymore. And if you're ready in this moment, and you want to declare that you're ready to step into a new relationship with God, where when you see situations happening, you won't just walk past. Will you follow me in this? When I say, sorry, some people move on, say not us. Ready?
Yeah.
Some people move on, not us. Some people move on, not us. Some people move on,
Not us.
some people move on,
Not us.
some people move on.
Not us.
Now, are you going to make that real, or is your space going to be limited at that door? Right? We get that choice.
Yeah.
Not us. What if we were a generation of not us? Right? When everyone else wants to move on, what if we stayed and fought? See, the enemy wants to limit us to this building and to this moment
Yeah.
and make us feel like, yes, this is a great moment, but it has no impact on our lives. See, not us. Right now, we're like, not us, not us. But when we're out there, you're like, you know, walking all by.
Yeah.
I don't want to walk by. Right? Not us. Because if we don't rise, who will?
Yeah.